make sure we get all. Okay, go ahead, Sister, right now.
Last last time we were on the call, Brother Wahid mentioned a lecture that the minister approved of. Do you know what the name of that is, or do you know what that is?
Oh, I'd have to check my notes. Sister Anya, can you give us some data on that one?
He said something about the commissioners
I'd have to check my notes.
dialogue.
Hopefully we'll get um the deliberative dialogue. Is that what you're talking about?
Huh. Uh, Possibly. I'm not sure.
Um, if it was dealing with the deliberative dialogue, I'm going to assume, I could be wrong, that that was the lecture that the minister did at the farm in 2007. But we'll try to get some actual facts before the end of the meeting.
Thank you all.
Sister Peggy.
Okay, I have a clarity moment.
Okay.
So my son had my car because his was in the shop. After he returned it to me, I had to readjust the mirrors because he's 6'5" and I'm 5'1". And so I was redoing my mirrors and I thought I had them in the way that they were before I let him borrow my car, but they weren't. And as I began to drive, it just I realized that it just seemed as I looked in my right mirror and my left mirror, that cars were just coming at me. They were coming at me and it was making me really nervous. But then I realized I'm able to see. The reason all these cars are coming at me is because I can actually see. I can actually see now in my blind spot, and I can see on the blind spot in the left and the blind spot in the right. And as I was driving, it was making me, as I said, it was making me nervous. So I had some clarity. I could see. But I just had to get used to it. I had to get used to it. And all these years I have been driving with my side view mirrors in a certain position, and I never changed it. But this time when I changed it, I could see everything. But even though I could see everything, it was kind of overwhelming, and I had to get used to being able to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, and so I was just kind of wondering if that was, and if that was like being clear in Dianetics clear. Does it ever seem overwhelming? Has anyone reported that it was overwhelming and that you had to get used to it?
Well, I'm severely aberrated, so I can't answer that question. But hopefully, for the end of tonight, Brother Remy, and what other clears do we have on the screen? Go ahead, raise that hand, sister. So we're gonna get some firsthand information. Sister, I wish I knew you were gonna be on. I would have asked for your bio information so I could include it, but perhaps you'll join us again.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to get you and Brother Danny on as well.
He's on it. He's on it. He joined.
Oh, where's he at?
He's two. There you go. You see an iPhone, Brother Danny?
Oh, okay. Okay, there he is. All right. Praise be to Allah. I have to say this about Brother Dan, but Sister Peggy, we will answer that question. I want to say this about Brother Danny though, because I met Brother Danny when he was on his SRD, and brother looked like all hell had broken loose in his life. Brother looked like he had just did a couple of rounds with Mike Tyson. And then to see the after effects. See, with Brother Danny, I got a chance to see the before and the after. So anyway, Um, oh boy. Okay, I have one name here. I don't want to mispronounce it. Is it Michan or Mishan? What's that? What's the name that's there? Michann.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. It's Mishan.
Mishan, walaikum salam. What brings you to Supreme Wisdom Meet Supreme Technology, Sister Mishan?
Well, sister, right now, she sent me a text and invited me, so I thought I would join. But I am familiar with Dianetics. I did become an auditor some years back when the minister first introduced it, but I have not been doing any auditing since.
That's okay. You were being spared until this time period right here, sister.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sister Heidi. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Heidi.
Walaikum salam, sir. Assalamu alaikum, family.
How are you doing, sister?
Walaikum salam.
See. And we got Brother Ahmad. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ahmad.
Walaikum salam.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing well, fighting a little sniffle, but if that's the worst of it, I'm still ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Sister Denise. Assalamu alaikum. There you go. You're off mute, but we don't hear you. Hopefully we'll be able to fix that. Sister Rashida. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I joined before a while back.
I remember you.
Yeah, I've had 2 auditing sessions now, so I'm like, so I've been listening to the YouTube videos of you guys, so I decided to join today.
Praise be to Allah. I think you're gonna be pleasantly surprised with what we're gonna get, what is in store for us tonight. Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum salam. I'm doing well, thank you. And you and yourself?
I'm much better these days.
Okay. Did something happen? Everything all right?
Yeah, I did a formula of multiplication. I took away something and something else was added. You know, that's gone, but here's something else. So I'm dealing with once you subtract something and then you always got something left over.
Yeah, well, I got to get some case game because that voice, that tone, we got to get that tone up.
Ooh,
Okay.
Brother Luke, man. I'm just glad to be back, and I'm just glad to be back. Yes, sir.
Glad to hear you. Okay, family.
Go ahead.
What do we have in store for us tonight? We have our big brother, Brother Remy, with us tonight. I'm going to present some data. I couldn't fit all the data in the email, so I'm going to pull up the data, go over it really quick. I'm quite sure that the believers might have some questions with regards to the information that's presented. There's a small clip we're going to watch, and I'm praying that it's going to generate some discussion. We got 3 clears in the midst of some severely aberrated people. So we're going to pull some we're trying to pull some data from them, and hopefully it'll allow us to get a step closer. I just started my SRD, so God willing, I'm on my way.
Praise be to Allah.
Get rid of this crazy mind that I have, and I pray a lot that we can all take the journey together. So with that being said, let me pull up my screen. Okay. Let's see if I can put this here. This is our good brother Remy. Not only is he a class 4 gold seal in the Nation of Islam, this brother is a member of one of the best fraternities on the planet. Black and Gold, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Had to put that plug out there. Brother Remy's been a member of the Nation of Islam since February 2010. He is a Hubbard Professional Dianetic Auditor Gold Seal and Co-Audit Seminar Delivery. Class 4 Golden Age of Tech Phase 1. Now, some of these, I don't understand what they are fully, which is why I hope brother will go ahead in detail and explain some of these terms to us. He's a Class 4 Golden Age of Tech Phase 2. He has spoken at Savior's Day. Oh, that's someone else that just came in. 2019. In 2016 to present, he's the founder and co-creator with Brother Ken Muhammad of the Nation of Islam Auditing Admin mobile app. Well, what does that do? He tells us that this app is an administrative reporting tool that covers 8 regions, 56 cities, and over 230 auditors since its launch in September of 2018. He says, brothers and sisters, auditors use the tool to report session data and success stories seamlessly to headquarters from their mobile devices for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to receive, and the app provides graphs for individual auditors, cities, and auditing departments across our nation to use to track progress. As an auditor on our nation's headquarters in Chicago, he says that he audits the tough cases in our community from suicidal, drug abuse, marital issues, depression, anxiety, and out ethics cases while working a full-time job and practicing his duties as a fruit of Islam. He's an advisor on matters related to auditing technology for many across the Nation of Islam, and he is thankful to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for teaching and guidance, and to L. Ron Hubbard for the research of the tech. He says, I strive to use my gifts, my talents to help my community, my nation, my people, and the planet to go free. He says, all the above I have done by the grace of Allah with the help of many friends and family. With no further ado, I would like to introduce to us our big brother, Brother Remy. The floor is yours, brother. You're on mute, Brother Remy.
I'm just taking it off mute.
Yes, sir.
All praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to be on the call. Thank you all tonight for joining on. I believe Brother Lukeman is going to play the breakdown on power. Which one are we doing tonight?
I'll if time permits, I'll do both. I'll do the short version, the shorter video clip first.
Okay.
We'll discuss it, and then I can, if time permits, we'll go ahead and start the second clip. We'll play maybe a 10-minute clip of that, and then open the floor for any questions. If not, we'll just continue. And I think, we can complete this by 8 o'clock, God willing.
Beautiful. And I'm also happy that it's three brothers and sisters that I attained the state of clear on the call, so they can jump in with their experiences, because the state of clear is it's no matter where you're from, no matter what language you speak, no matter what culture, it is a definite technical result that happens in anybody that has breath in their body. So between the three of us, I hope you will see how that technical result has showed up in our lives, and without further ado, I turn it back over to Brother Lukeman.
All right. So I will go ahead and pull up the video. Let me see if I got that ready to go. Okay, there it is. Where you at? Everyone can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you know how to do it, go ahead and do it. I'm on the.
Before I begin, let me ask
Not
you,
that, you know.
how are you feeling?
Good.
How are you thinking?
Good.
I like that. I love that answer. So it's customary for us in the Nation of Islam to begin in a very standard pattern. So I will say the pattern for you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Furthermore, I bear witness that Allah, God, came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christian and the Mahdi of the Muslims. I furthermore bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted Christ, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as our divine leader, teacher, and guide. So I greet you in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Words are very important to me, not because I learned them in the Nation of Islam, which is one of the reasons why I found Scientology, not because my parents were Muslim or are Muslim, but because of a desire that I had since I was a young child. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. It's mainly Christian, Baptist from the South. And I remember at a young age, I just knew that the divisions between the religions didn't make any sense. You know, I remember being frustrated at different points in time in my life, trying to understand these scriptures, trying to make sense of the Bible, trying to make sense of the Qur'an, trying to make sense of what my parents were teaching me. And I found solace in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. When I joined the Nation of Islam shortly after leaving college, he gave me a better understanding of what Christianity is, how to be a Christian, which also gave me a better understanding of how to be a Muslim. I did not expect that I will gain a better understanding and come to find out what Scientology is. So while studying Scientology, I came across a quote from L. Ron Hubbard that is very profound and reached deep within me and helped me to continue my studies without being sidetracked. And I will share that quote with you. Change no man's religion, change no man's politic. Interrupt the sovereignty of no nation. Instead, teach man to use what he has and what he knows to the factual creation within any political reference of a civilization on earth for the first time. And so we work. When I read that quote in Fundamental Thought, when I was training to become an auditor, I realized that Scientology was going to bring out of me something that was in me. And I wasn't really focused on what people called me on the outside. I was more focused on the truth that resonated with me in the inside. She already know where I'm going. Yes, so the Honorable Minister said these words because from time to time, sometimes it can be discouraged. Sometimes people mean well and they want the best for you, but they don't know how to always phrase it. At the same time, they can have misunderstandings and they're misguided. But along my journey in Scientology, words from L. Ron Hubbard and words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad kept me progressing in my own spiritual development. May 12, 2013, on Mother's Day lecture, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, "Let me be even more clear. I'm not trying to lead you to another religion. You've got the best religion, but evidently you don't know your religion. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad in our lesson said Islam is everything, sun, moon, and stars. How the hell can you tell me that knowledge is not Islam, science is not Islam, mathematics is not Islam? Allah says in the Holy Qur'an, I am truth. So anywhere you find truth, it belongs to you. You are the natural owner and possessor of truth." So at that point, I didn't focus on labels anymore. My parents, I grew up in a household where my parents speak Yoruba. Most Muslims, the scriptures that we read is in Arabic. Christianity, those holy books are in Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek. But I started to realize that those labels weren't as important as the mission that we actually had. as a member of the Nation of Islam, you know, I promote myself, I carry myself as a member of the Nation of Islam. I believe that it's very important for us to have identities, but not to get stuck on our beingnesses and identities, because the work that we do transcends all the labels that we may have. Right.
Yes.
So as I continued training, I realized that though I became an auditor to help clear brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, as the minister told us to get HDA trained, I didn't know that I was really saving myself. There was a prayer that I came up with because I kept running into different types of suppression, different points of pain, upsets. And I said to myself, oh Allah, take my suffering and turn it into salvation for others. Therefore, by saving others, I save myself. So as I progressed and to study what the minister gave us, as I progressed and studied Scientology courses, my initial motivation was for others, but it was for myself. Evidently, I found myself off the bridge. I found myself in a predicament that I really didn't know how to get out of. And I was grateful for Brother Warren here, because as I was getting myself together, or getting my act together, we co-audited. If he didn't become an auditor, like the Honorable Minister Farrakhan asked us to, if I didn't become an auditor, we wouldn't be able to co-audit. There, I believe for like 2 years, we may have audited each other twice or 4 times a month. You know? So while I was, and in addition, I applied OW write-ups.
Oh, that's cool.
Suppression handling, we did it ferociously, right? All of this material are in the free material that is available to us in Scientology. It didn't cost much or take much time to actually learn. When I started to get audited, especially on Dianetics, on the road to clear, man, I had no idea the ride I was in store for. So I used to think, man, if I could just stop thinking about X, or if I could just stop thinking about what that person did, that I would just be great. Like, don't even talk about anything else up the bridge, just to get over this one situation, and it'd be great. But I found that 90%, 95% of what I thought was hindering me was not.
Wow.
It was not. Things that I perceived that were the barriers, they weren't the barriers at all.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Wow.
And that is the deadly effect of engrams, is that you really don't know. If you really knew all about it through and through, exactly, it wouldn't really be able to, wouldn't be able to hold you back.
Right.
It wouldn't stop you from growing or progressing. From time to time, I realized also that the intense study that I did when I registered in Madison, Wisconsin, and in Madison, there were about 4 or 5 registered believers. It wasn't many of us, but we went really, really deep into what we were given. But while I was training that flag, I didn't get the opportunity to actually study as much as I would like to. So when it got time to do auditing, I was very surprised that the information that I tried to memorize and keep on my heart started to actually come out of me. The cognitions that I started to have started to remind me of things that I studied of truth, regardless of where it actually came from, which furthermore bore witness that, like the minister said, you are a natural possessor of truth. Truth is with you wherever you go, wherever you want to call it, that is actually truth. But never did I think that I can go anywhere and get the gains that I was getting in processing. I didn't try to find other ways to go clear, because I was very clear on who the minister introduced us to. I was very clear on my gains in Scientology. I saw how staff members act, how Sea Org members act, how Scientologists act. So I didn't have to try to look for other solutions if what I was doing was working, and it was working very well.
That's great.
So last, I would like to also read to you a quote from the minister that helped me to understand the value of being an auditor. Like I said, I always wanted to figure out, how do these books align? How do we actually make sense of it? So the minister said, Islam is magnificent, it's beautiful. We search the scriptures and we come up with wonderful teachings from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and God himself has guided us. But I found something in the teachings of Dianetics of Mr. Aaron Hubbard that I saw could bring up from the depth of our subconscious minds things that we would prefer to lie dormant. But the auditing process brings things up. And it's like bringing up demons out of us. And just as the book Bible says, that was the work of Jesus. So I take what I do as an auditor very serious. It's very important. Casting out, quote unquote, casting out demons. So I finally understood that this significance of what the New Testament talked about was the work of Jesus, was the work of the auditor. It's the work that Scientologists are doing. It's work that members of the Nation of Islam are also doing. So I'll close with the letter that I wrote publicly when I went clear. And I call it Purple Rain. Now, Purple Rain is a song by Prince. But most people don't know that Purple Rain is actually a gospel song. Oh. Yeah, and Purple Rain, the significance of it is God's love. Oh. So when you listen to the song again, try to look at it from that lens and see what you get out of it. In the Jewish tradition, the day starts actually in the evening. So the day I went clear was the 4th of July of this year. Independence Day. That is also the founding day for the Nation of Islam in the West, July 4th, 1930. And also in Scientology, July 4th of July is the day that the founding church in Washington, D.C. was incorporated on the 4th of July. So that date hold a lot of significance to me in independence and what we are all to do together in our different religions, going towards the one goal of saving this planet the right way. So today I honor the independence and freedom of my nation, my church, my individual being spiritually and mentally. Another huge step completed, clear. Sometimes it can be very difficult to explain becoming more yourself mentally, emotionally, and aware of the potential that you have and how limitless it can be. At this level, it is a perpetual atmosphere with an engine that runs on your thoughts, your intention, effortlessly. As I progressed on this journey, the deep-seated and hidden pain that was revealed, relieved, and erased brought me closer and closer to what serenity and peace feels like. 95% of what hurt me in life was not what hindered my life. It was things unknown to me that blocked the sunlight, which can be hidden by material gain. This recent accomplishment showed me how important it is to change my inner reality, and how when I change my inner reality using the right method, my immediate environment was made better soon after. I truly understand that I changed the world from the inside out, not the other way around. This recent, the lessons from Dianetics are priceless. There's no amount of money or investment that you can have more valuable than the gift of understanding who you are and being at peace with what you are and being stable in a world full of confusion, hatred, and turmoil. So to my friends, my family, my auditors, my nation, my minister, my God, I salute you. Praise be to Allah.
All right, family. The floor is open for questions. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sister Diane.
As I've been learning, I'm trying to really get an understanding about Dianetics. So basically, being cleared means that, does that mean that you're clear of everything, or that's just a progression of just things that you get you work through? It's like, let me say, for example, like you're cleaning a house and then it's a big house, but you're going through each room and getting it clean and cleared. So that's the same type of concept, correct?
That's a good question. I will leave that to the experts who would like to respond to that one.
Yeah, I'll respond. So one of the courses that I'm working on right now is the type of Dianetics that you use for someone to go clear. And when you're doing that course, you actually have to do that course twice. After 1950, L. Ron Hubbard made some progress with Dianetics, and he wanted to clear people fast. So clear is getting some feedback. Okay, thank you, bro. So clear, as you described it, is a very good analogy. There is a particular type of aberration that is between me and how I view myself, how I interact with myself, and that filter which I engage the world. I am clear, and Brother Danny, Sister Eugenia, we're clear on that dynamic, how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to the world through our own lens. So clear, there is more for us to do, because I don't want to say that clear is an end, but it is in a very significant point in our progress to ridding yourself of what has happened to you.
Thank you, Brother Remy.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address that question as well? We get more data on it.
I'll speak of my personal experience.
Yes, ma'am.
So for me, going clear has helped me to see clearer. So it's kind of like having dirty glasses or the rose-colored glasses that you see things in a particular, with a particular viewpoint. And you're not aware that your viewpoint may not be correct. So, and because going clear is about getting rid of the reactive mind on the first dynamic, as Brother Remy said, in regards to how I see things, how I respond to my world, to my life, to myself, and to others, and that which I have to interact with. Oftentimes we see things through a viewpoint of pain, or our viewpoint has been affected by pain and by the circumstances that we've experienced that have had an effect on us and that have affected us. And so when we're seeing things through pain, we're not seeing things clearly. So we're going to respond based upon, again, that experience. But once you go clear, again, it's not the answer. So that's not as it is the beginning. It's the beginning of a journey. Just like our journey in Islam to be one with Allah, it is a journey. We have stages that we have to go through of growth. Clear is the same way. You have stages that you have to go through to continue to get to that oneness with Allah, because both of them are processes, but the end result is pretty much the same. You want to become the God that you have the potential to become. But you tend to see things clearer, so because you're not seeing things through pain anymore. You're not seeing things through, not that you can't, because again, you can everything, you have more control over your choices of how you respond. You're not going to see things from an emotional standpoint, and you're not going to respond from an emotional standpoint. You'll be able to kind of like step back, as the messenger teaches us to think 5 times, right? Before we speak and before we act. Well, going clear to me has helped me to be able to think the 5 times more consistently, before I react to respond, whether it's verbally or whether it's in actually doing an action. Not that I don't make any mistakes, because don't get it twisted. It doesn't make you perfect at all. But you have a better opportunity to be successful in whatever it is you're trying to do, because you're functioning from a more rational mind rather than a reactive mind. So that's how I would say it. You can see clearer. Because I mean, even going back and reading the Supreme Wisdom after having gone clear, I could not believe how many times the messenger has clear in the Supreme Wisdom, so you see things differently. You see things differently. You're able to respond from a more sane standpoint rather than an emotional standpoint. So that's my answer.
Thank you, sister. Greatly appreciate it. Brother Danny, do you want to step in there for a minute?
He said he's trying to get in. Honey, why don't you just come in on this side?
I'm trying to get back in.
He's here. He's on mute.
I think I think he's gonna come. He's gonna come in on the side with me. Hold on.
Okay.
Where I'm at. Oh, there we go.
There's Babyface.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Brother Remy.
How are you, sir?
Well, everything that this whole Zoom call that Brother Lukman is putting on, as Brother Remy and my wife both spoke of, about the different stages and steps that you would have to go through. This doesn't make us this doesn't make you better than nobody. First of all, I'm a Muslim follower of Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of Louis Farrakhan, using the tech of Mr. Aaron Hubbard to improve my life and to help my other brothers and sisters as best as we can. And me and my wife, the path that we had to take, Brother Lukman brought it up, and I ain't know you recognize that, Brother Lukman. Boy, I was in a terrible state. I'm talking about a horrible state. So we went through the process, and Brother Lukman and his wife, Sister Salima, I saw them as they started the journey. They kind of got started on the journey, and I saw some changes in them immediately up in Florida when we were there. And what being clear for me is allowed me to, as my wife was saying, see things clearer. And her name is Sister Eugenia, but I call her Sister Ethics, because anytime I get out of line, she gonna make sure I get back in line. So, but it's been, whoever's on the line, and I know that we all have an interest in this, because the minister brought this to us, because I wouldn't have never known about any of it unless he brought it to us. And just take your time on the path that you're going, and Allah will continue to guide us. And this is not an easy path. It's still not. And like as they spoke, that we all just on the first dynamic, and there are 8 dynamics that you have to deal with. And we're just on this first dynamic. And I think Brother Remy, the path that he went was pretty awesome. I think he went through, and Brother Remy is studied. He went down the path, and he's very studied in this tech. Whereas me and my wife was in such a bad state, we needed therapy immediately. So just take your time and go down the path, and Allah guide us, and the Holy Quran wouldn't be significant, when it speaks of in Surah 65 that after difficulty comes ease. Well, if it was, once you become clear, if everything is easy, well, what do you need Islam for? What do you need God for? So it's going to always be something, the cycle, but it's a matter of managing and handling it better. That's what we're capable of doing, handling it a whole lot better.
Praise due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Danny. Sister Denise, I see your hand up.
So this journey that you're traveling from, I don't want to say insane the same, although sometimes we do cross that path, aberrated to sort of stabilizing you to handle whatever comes. You're better able to handle whatever comes, whatever your response is. It's because you have, I don't want to say risen above emotions, because you still have them, but they're not painful. It's part of the journey now, and you're more acceptant of it instead of not running away from it, but dodging it. So whatever, I hope you all understand what I'm saying, because I know when I finished auditing, I said to them, they said, so what are you going to do now? And I said, I don't know why those study guides and what I just experienced coming through to be an auditor, why are they like twins? It's sort of, even though I took a different road, I'm taking a different road, and you never graduate. It seems like that's what you all saying. So you can't just get satisfied with where you are, because as the rappers say, here comes another one, and then you have to face that difficulty or that aberration in order to clear yourself from that. So that's what I'm seeing as you all are saying the clear is, which makes it real similar. And then he said it's a tool. He said what you're given is a tool. So I guess my question is why, how do you, is it once you are clear, because I heard Brother Rennie said how he was able to, I came from the church, but what things that you learn and things that you learn in the nation and all of that, how do you, is it just, you just keep going? Even though you take the classes at the Scientology, is it you just keep going within yourself each time you're learning a new dimension about yourself? Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, can you touch on what you said about the study guide one more time? You said something about the study.
When I put my hands on the can and he asked me what was I going to do after this, becoming an auditor, I said, it seemed like everything you all said to me, I went back to the study guide. If it was overcoming difficulty, it was finding the balance, it was the mixed feelings and controversy, whatever it was, everything I was learning at the org was reminded me of the study guides. And I wondered when I go back, would I see something different? Now that I have the tool. So yes, sir.
Okay. I'm so happy to see that. And I had a burning feeling that I had a feeling that was going to be your question. I perceived it. I'm so happy that you asked it. And before I wanted to respond, I wanted to hear it again. So I was in session one night and I said, a day is going to come where I'll talk about what's happening at the end of these sessions in the study guides. And I'm so happy that you brought that up, because this is a perfect segue. And it is amazing to read the minister's life situation in the study guide, or the life of the messengers of the prophets, not really understand it, right? and you just read it and be like, okay, that's how he or she responded. Then during the auditing process, there were so many things that I did not realize that happened, but they reminded me of those different circumstances and situations in the study guide. So when I'm coming out of it and I open my eyes, I'm thinking about how the minister dealt with something, or a prophet or messenger dealt with something in a situation. I'm like, I can understand that now. I can hold my tongue. You know what? I can be more patient about this situation. I don't have to point the finger. I know how it is to lose somebody like that now. You know, I know how it is to be driven by complete anger in a situation. So I was so happy because I wasn't able to study as much going from work to session, back and forth. But what I've studied before started to come out of me, like I said in the testimony. I started to see those circumstances and mixed feelings and controversies play out in the engrams and get them erased, and then have the relief to now see a situation that used to be what I just read about other people. Now I'm reading about it in myself, about something that I saw. So it made it more concrete. So it's one thing to read it, to kind of visualize it and empathize with a situation, but it's another thing to read the Holy Quran or the Bible and have a circumstance like that in your life and come through it personally in a session, to be able to look at it and be like, you know what, I can see how I can apply my Islam. Like if this situation was to happen in present day, okay, I can apply Islam to that. I can handle that better. You know, so I was just dying to be able to share a testimony like that. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Brother Remy. Let's see. I would like to, well, first of all, do I see Sister Jacqueline's name? Is that the Sister Jacqueline?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm not sure what you mean about the Sister
Okay.
Jackson. I don't think I'm the Sister
Okay,
Jackson.
but that's okay. You're still the Sister Jacqueline. There's another Sister Jacqueline that was working with us with Brother Batim. Sister was in a little bit of an accident, so we've been praying for her, and I thought maybe she was off her accident leave. But you
Oh
are
yes. Oh
we are
no.
grateful and thankful that you're here with us, Sister Jacqueline. And who invited you this evening?
I got a text from Sister Renelle.
Okay.
And I am also an auditor and a wholesale auditor and a coordinator. So I'm you know, I just signed in, and I would be also praying for our beloved sister Jacqueline as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And I have to recognize one of our pioneers. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Wahid. Can you hear us? You might be able to come off mute, maybe not. I just wanted to recognize our great brother for his support.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. How you feeling?
Fine. Just enjoying all this divine information that Allah blesses all with. So I won't say too much, but I don't want to get back to the conversation.
Yes, sir. I want you to blame me for getting you to talk like you did last time.
Yes, sir. I do blame you, brother.
Thank you, Brother Wahid.
It's all good though.
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. Anyone else? Any questions?
Brother Lukman.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the sister's name who asked the question that Brother Remy answered. But I wanted to know if that answered her question, if she got her question answered by what Brother Remy said, because what I heard was that when she was at the org and auditing, her experience was like, okay, I'm doing the study guides in a different manner. So I just wanted to know if that, because her question was, am I going to, if I heard it correctly, am I going to experience something different other than seeing the teachings in another form? So I
Okay.
wanted to know if her question was answered.
Sister Denise.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What I'm saying, it helped me to understand the study guides better. No, I saw it as the ministers wrote it, but it was clearer to me when I went back through it. I don't know if they have an unlocking tool, that tool unlocks things in me as well as the auditing unlocked, when you can put it behind you or erase it or get a release from it and it's no longer there. So it's you're not hindered by it when you go down the timeline, the track, because it's not there anymore. And so I was just wondering, this clear process is as you go through your courses. That's what I want to say. Your courses, it's not something like you have a degree in college. It's an ongoing thing with becoming clear. You clear, but you steady on the journey, if you all understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So that was just something I could relate it to as I was going through the courses in Scientology, and I could relate it to the study guides. I have to see what else that I knew that I could connect with what I was learning and what I already know, fitting it in. Yes, sir. Yes, you did answer my question. I hope I.
All praise due to Allah. Thank you for bringing that back, sister, to make sure there was some clarity.
Thank you. Thank you, beloved.
Let's see, I think we have a question. Since becoming clear, have you experienced improved physical eyesight? Sister Eugenia?
Yes, I definitely have. I actually was hitting the eye with the tennis ball when I was 6 years old. So I'm actually blind in my right eye. And so my left eye was affected, got weaker because of me basically having monovision. And my vision in that left eye is stronger since having gone clear, because I understand that metaphysically vision is related to how we view, our life and our world. And so our eyesight can actually physically be affected in regards to the strength of it based upon the level of pain that we've experienced. So when we've gone through a lot of pain and we don't want to experience anymore, and if our reality still may potentially have pain, then we're not going to see as well on our own. We're going to need assistance. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. I don't mean to deviate. But yes, absolutely. And I was just telling my husband the other day that I hardly ever wear my glasses now, even though, my vision on the right side, it has improved because so my retina detached in 1998. And so I've had surgeries after surgeries after surgeries over the years, but during the SRD, which Brother Lukman is on now, my husband and I, because we co-audited together, I did a lot of processes on getting back in communication with my eyes and what have you. So at the time, my central vision was destroyed. So it was like, if you could see my face, right? I could see the outline of my face, but I couldn't see like the middle. So it's literally like if I was looking at somebody in that with my right eye, which that would of course have to be, I'd have to close my left eye in order to be able to see out my right eye. That's how my vision's been affected. But if I did that, I could only see like around. I couldn't see like the center of the person or the object. But since having gone clear, that obstruction or that blackout in the center of my vision is gone. So my vision is still blurry, but I can see the form of the whole picture. But like I said, I'm 58 years old, so my vision's been this way for 52 years. So, or almost 52 years. So it's still a process of, I guess, my eyes working together, because my left eye has worked by itself for so long. But like I said, in having to wear glasses, that, I really don't feel the need to wear glasses most of the time. So yes, your vision absolutely improves. As mine did. So
praise due to Allah. Thank you, sister.
I took off my my glasses when I got life repair, and I did suppression handling. That was part of my life repair. You know, doing reading self-analysis, reading the information on suppression, and then having a few hours of auditing. It helped reduce the astigmatism that I had in my eyes. So yeah, and physiologically, I noticed some changes. I noticed some changes after clear with just dirt in general. You know, I noticed that the accumulation of dirt or bacteria on my body has decreased. So it was something that I just stepped out the shower. I'm just doing the clean, and I'm noticing like, man, this is very different than what I have to do regularly. You know, so your body does go through changes for the better as you continue to get audited.
For sure. You definitely, our diet, of course, helps a lot, with our smell and what have you. But after going clear, it works even better. You really don't have an odor. You have to do a whole heck of a lot to stink. That's what in being clear. So
what you're saying is the funk in the mind kind of it supports the funk in the body.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah. Or the stress on the mind,
right? Exactly.
Doesn't allow the body to do what the body would be doing if it wasn't under so much stress from that internal shaitan.
Right. Or the external suppression. Yeah.
Or external suppression as well. Can't forget about that. Yes.
Well, I had somewhat of a different experience. To others on here that that are on the line, that it's constant maintenance. You have to keep. It's like we go to study group. We have our meetings, our regular meetings. It's maintenance with the teachers of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have to go to study group. We have to go to the MDT, FOI class. Everybody on here Muslim? Sorry, is everybody on here Muslim?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Sorry, so I don't mean to offend anyone if they're not. But us that are Muslim, we have to do regular upkeep. That's why we have to go to our meetings and things of things. And however, with my sight have not. It was okay, and something went on with me. But the beauty of it is that I know something is wrong, so I got to correct it. I know how to correct it. See, that's the beauty of it. But the sister that answered the question, Brother Remy and my wife had some good experiences. I went the opposite way because I have something that's going on I need to handle. The beauty, I said, is that I recognize it's something and I know how to fix it. Now I don't know how to take, but I know how to fix it. So that's of it, and it's not one of those things where you get cleared and everything is hunky dory fine or what have you. As my wife said, that me and her, we co-audited. We went through a lot of stuff together. But we came back. Well, man, we two different people. I say it was different house, So take place and you recognize that, hey man, I got something there. We got to state something out here. So the beauty of it is that you can recognize things and changes do take place. And You just have to be ready, have the endurance to endure it. So it's not a catch-all. Everything is fine, hunky dory. After just to be able to recognize and manage and handle those issues. Some of the issues that may come up in life.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Individuals, from my understanding, they have this perception that once you go clear, everything is just peaches and cream, and life is just wonderful, and you can now do all these calculations, and you can make stones levitate, and you have all these, this is the perception, I think, with some of the believers, that once you go clear, that's done. Would it be safe to say, and this is in the words of the martial arts, in the martial arts, they say that once you work to get your black belt, that's when your training begins. Is it safe to say that once you go clear, that's really when the journey, especially with the teachings, that's when the real journey begins? Because now we're going into the teachings with a mind that is now devoid of this reactive mind. Is it safe to kind of put it in that language? And do any of you have any type of superpowers that we don't know about?
That happens. I'm not gonna lie. I would be lying to you. I'm not gonna hide any light under a bushel basket. I understand this is a mixed audience. So so I hope that people are able to have it or catch when I'm laying down. The worst thing that you can do is, you in your state, wherever you are, is that you sense that you have an ability to do something. Something came to mind. It's on your mind for a reason, that you feel like you can tap into something. It's there. It's reasonable that it's there. It's something for you to figure out. And as I journey to get more auditing and more education and applying what we're taught, those opportunities begin to manifest, and you do not want to invalidate them when they occur. Because if you do, you may end up slamming the door and having to do more work than you other wouldn't have, right? So as I started to go clear, I started to notice things. I don't invalidate, like that sister's question. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say, someone's gonna ask about study guides next, right? I kept it to myself, but I didn't invalidate it. Had I invalidated and be like, oh no, I'm just guessing and stuff like that, I don't want to, because that's one of the things, it becomes deadly. It becomes deadly as you grow in power in this teaching, and you start to manifest your power and going after your goals and bringing your family together. You want to be more sensitive. You want to know how to talk to yourself about things that you think about, right? Because right now, if you're not going in session a lot, the worst thing you can do is have bad self-talk about things that you experience and gifts that you believe you have that you wish you were able to tap into. It is also a reason why children are closer to Allah than we are. It's because when it happens to them, when they do it, they show it either with toys or they start talking to themselves. They let it go. They let it free, right? So in regards to studying, and there was a part 2 to the sister's question from before about what I'm studying, and I want to get into that too. It's easier to study when I can read material and it doesn't have to backfire on something that I went through. For example, ministers start talking about going in on brothers being better husbands. And next you had some rough divorces in your past or rough relationships, and you start reading what the minister said, and you already disagreeing with them before you can even get the words off the page, right? So now when I'm studying, there isn't baggage that's ricocheting off his words. There's not baggage when the student minister is talking about responsibility and going out in the field. There's not baggage that's hitting like it used to hit. So the word has a better opportunity to find a resting place because I want it to. Also, when you clear, you have to have a desire to do so. Just because somebody's clear doesn't mean they're going to act the way I think they should act. They're going to act the way they should be acting based on them hitting the state of clear. And then as far as what I'm studying right now, majority of what I'm going into is more of the management side of the technology or the business related courses. So in that, I see our nation every day. When the minister said the struggle for X amount of years in the nation has been a struggle of helping us to do the work, responsibility, putting people in leadership position, the minister cried, not when he heard about Dianetics. The minister broke down in tears when he heard about the management side of the technology, because he saw how much his father struggled with us in trying to organize us. So now I'm marrying the science of auditing, and I'm marrying it with the science of management, along with what we're given in the supreme wisdom, so I can lead my family to a better future and my nation as well.
Thank you, Brother Remy. I was going to ask a question, but you actually answered it in your explanation, in that, children seem like they have gifts when they're young, and either they invalidate themselves, or we as parents invalidate them. Mm-hmm. And then that same thing happens to them, and that's kind of like what I got from what you just said. But I guess you do kind of get some superpowers.
Yeah.
And really, I think it's not necessarily getting back superpowers, it's we're getting back into the mind of who we are as an individual. We are slowly growing back into that circle of the gods. I guess we can say it like that. Can we say it like that?
Yeah, you can say like it's super given the condition that we're in. Mm-hmm. It's super. It depends on the person. If that changed for you, I mean, it's real to you. I know I did an auditing action called cause resurgence, and I swear I was like, man, all I have to do is I don't have to think about solving problems. If I put my attention on the anatomy of that problem long enough, without thinking, a solution will come. Mm. I wouldn't have to necessarily go through the process of this is the problem, I can try to do it this way. Sometimes I go through that, don't get me wrong, but I realize that oftentimes if I just look at the problem, then a solution will come. When I first did the IQ test, it was like 115, something like that, like 115, right? I did the IQ test the other day for a job, and it's 142. So that's 2010, that was life repair in 2010 to 2024, for it's almost 14 years, my IQ went up 30. But they say IQ never changes. That is finale. So my IQ, because of processing and studying, not just Scientology, studying the teaching, because it's a 14-year journey that I cannot say is just auditing, because the circumstance and situation that we deal with in the nation will rise your IQ if you want it to. You can learn better to handle a situation if you want to. So it jumped, like you're talking about 30 points. Wow. So of course you're going to tap into things, abilities that you didn't know you had. The mind is limitless. They don't even know how the brain works, let alone the mind. And the minister taught us brain and mind are separate. There's some people out there don't even know that. So as you get more auditing, right, and you purify yourself, you fast and you pray, you're going to find out things about what your mind is able to do that you couldn't before. And when it comes up, embrace it, practice it, and if you don't want to tell anybody, don't invalidate it.
Good information, brother. Thank you. Sister Ania, then we have Sister Patricia, and then I have a couple of questions in the chat, but we'll go with Sister Ania first.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
My question was actually along the lines of what was just discussed. I was going to basically ask for each of those who said that they are clear or have experienced being clearer, if they would address any experiences they've had with vision in regards to dreams, visions, and what's the other part of it?
Spiritual experiences.
Oh, the radio in the head.
In the head.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Not just those type of experiences, but in particular.
Right. The strongest experience that I've had with that was there's 2 professional communication courses that you would take as an auditor. The second one is called upper indoctrination. Upper meaning the upper meaning that is just higher, like it comes next, and indoctrination meaning to teach. So on the second professional auditor communication course, there's a drill that you do with an ashtray, and it's on the survival rundown course as well. You do that drill. So there was me and another brother that I was training with, named Justin. And, we would come off course and we would talk. And we were like, you know what, man? We remember what we taught about radio in the head. So we were like, okay, we're doing this drill. I think it's called training routine number 8, where you're practicing putting intention into different physical places, right? You're training putting intention wider or narrow, okay? So we were like, let's try it out. Let's see if this will help us with communicating with each other. So we did about 3 times. And while we were training, and he would say like, okay, meet me somewhere at this certain time. And I'll get there and it'll be like 10 minutes later. And he'll be there. Or I'll say, meet me here, right? And then at a certain point, we just stop, right? But that let me know that, this drill that we were doing, and our belief in what was taught to us, plus the drill that we were doing allowed us the opportunity to actually practice that. And I think we may have been off maybe like out of 5 times, we were off twice. But 3 times out of the 5, we were on point within 10 to 15 minutes of each other during course time. And everybody already knows that when you're on course at the org, you can't just take your own break. So it had to be very intentional for me to get out the course room or him to get out the course room, and we actually meet in a certain area of the actual building. That's the only experience that I've had with radio in the head that I can share.
Thank you, Brother Remy. Sister Eugenia?
Let's see. What? Excuse me. I guess my experiences may be a little bit different from Brother Remy in that they were practicing it, right? But I've had several experiences, actually one recently, just last week, where it's like I will pick up on someone's energy and how they're feeling. And I'll reach out to them or call them or it's kind of very strong. But I had a real dear friend of mine. I picked up on her. I just felt her being just really, really sad. And so I called her. Well, actually, I texted her. And I was like, hey, are you okay? I'm just checking on you. And she was like, how did you know? And I told her, I said, I didn't know. So it ended up being the anniversary of her father's death. And I didn't, she was like, how did you remember today was the day that my dad died? But I didn't remember. I didn't remember what it was. I just felt like I felt her sorrow and that she was going through something that I needed to reach out to her, to just like offer her some condolences. So I have that quite a bit, where I'm like, I feel I've always been an empath, but it's like on steroids kind of now, in that I tend to feel what other people feel, or I can come up to somebody and it's not that I know what a person's thinking, but I feel people more in regards to their emotions and what they're going through. So, which I believe again all falls into the plan of the minister wanting us to of course start with the book 1 Dianetics, auditing, be able to get to know one another, to interact with each other, and to see that, so that we could see that, hey, something happened. I mean, nobody wants to be low toned or sad or mean or funky or whatever it is that, our disposition may be. It's something that happened, but it allows us to get to know one another more, and for us to be more empathetic, with one another, and to be able to be more long suffering and that sort of thing. One of the other benefits of being clear, my husband and I were actually just talking about this a couple of hours ago, because I had an experience helping a sister out who's in need, and her family, one of her cousins kind of took something the wrong way that I did. And if I were not clear, it could have been a whole different scenario, But, I was able to recognize, she's just enturbulated, it's a situation that's going on, and just not take it personal, and to see it for what it was, and to be able to be patient until she got to a better space where we could talk about it, and talk about it from a sane point and a non-emotional point, so that way nobody's feelings were hurt, and to be able to have a sane conversation and not be in my feelings about, oh, you accused me of this, and why would you think that? And it could have definitely been the other way. I don't know if it would have been that way if I weren't clear, because I've always been a person, I don't like drama. So I always try to operate sanely, but I mean, I can act sane, but I can feel some kind of way inside, I give it to myself, but I can truly say that I don't feel any kind of way about, what her thoughts were, it like totally, doesn't affect me. So that's a benefit.
Thank you, Sister. All praise due to Allah. This is real good information. Brother Danny, you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Am I on mute?
Oh, we hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Well, I would say that the frequency of those experiences that Brother Remy was speaking of happens to me a little bit. It happens to me more frequently, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit, because I'm like, man, I was just, and some of these things start taking place, and I'm sure that even my wife, Brother Remy, and some others that may have experienced some of the processing that you have gone through, that we may not mention it on here because of understanding, so I've had some things happening, and I mean, I won't share them here, but I would say that the frequency of things happening to me, or things that I have that come to mind, or people, I'm in the middle of doing something, and then this person comes to mind, and lo and behold, they're here, or they call, or something like that would happen, and it happens more frequently. So it's the action that the processing that Brother Remy went through, this private processing, this cause resurgence, was one of the things that there's an experience that I had that was it was unbelievable, and just right now it's not a good time for me to share it or what have you, but to answer that question, those things are happening to me more frequently. They have, and it has increased more frequently since becoming clear.
Thank you, Brother Danny.
Yes, sir.
Sister Anya, did that answer your question?
Yes, so most definitely. And again, not necessarily having to have people go into details, but just the type of experiences. So that was great. Thank you.
Very welcome. Sister Patricia.
Assalamu
Walaikum.
I have a couple of questions. I have a lot of background noise, but brother was talking about business. He was on another session dealing with business, I thought once you clear that, your perspective of everything and everything in general will be a more, a better approach. So if I'm not for sure, if he said that he's taking another session in a business manner, I assume that he's doing this after he got clear. And then the other question was to the sister who was talking about a friend of hers. She had picked up on her sorrow. Now, when you're in clear and you say you do this a lot, will that take you out of clear? Because you're intaking a lot of, like an overload of other individuals. Sorrow, would that take you out of clear? Then you have to get back into clear? Or did you straight wire when you heard of her? I'm trying to understand, because I heard also in that you said that it didn't bother you, but when you're letting all this coming on you like that, by feeling someone else's, and by her being close to you, would that take you out of clear? And do you have to get more auditing so you can stay in clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that, at least to me, I think that sounds like a great question.
I love her second question. So for your first question is, there's processing that you can do at the org, and there are also courses. So the business related courses is what I'm doing. So it's not about auditing, but it's business related courses. And you want to get more education. You want to, when you go clear, or any form of therapy that you're doing, whether it's education, like as we do in the nation, nutrition, which is our environment, all right, and auditing, you want to get as much information, true education as possible, because as you're dealing with these engrams and other things, locks and these moments, that is like bad education, right? Because an engram is making you act other than yourself. So that's bad education. So as you're getting processed and you want to replace it with good education. So now that I'm clear, I have more of a responsibility to understand how to organize people than I was when I wasn't clear. Not only because people are going to say, hey, he's clear, let's ask him. That's going to happen. But to whom much is given, to whom much is given, much is expected. So now I'm able to carry more responsibility without having doubt, without having suspicion, without having intrepidation or nervousness. Like those type of feelings when it comes to responsibility don't even exist anymore for me. Where I have the ability to cope with responsibility, that doesn't even cross my mind anymore. So now that exists, that doesn't exist, I should partake into more study on organized. Because the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan said, an organized lie will beat a disorganized truth all day, every day. So we need to organize the truth that we have in the Nation of Islam, put it out into the community for an exchange, and watch our nation flourish.
Sir, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question, Sister Patricia? Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
yes, second question.
Sister Eugenia?
I was going to respond to her asking me about the sorrow that I felt for my friend. So I felt her sorrow, but I was not sorrowful. I was not affected. I just felt, I literally could feel her and see that she was grieving about something. So, but it did not make me sorrow or have sorrow or make me grieve. It just allowed me to be able to reach out to her and say, hey, check on her to see if she was in need of anything. So, and as regards to the interaction or the conversation with the other sister, because it was two separate incidents in regards to a sister who had misconstrued my actions and basically kind of accused me or had some ideas about me that were incorrect. There was no need to like straight wire her or anything like that, because like I said, at the time, this happened like over a month ago. We just had a conversation today because she had experienced some things. Whatever made her respond that way, I knew she had become interbulated. So I was able to not take it personally. When I found out that she was upset with me, I immediately was like, oh, she's interbulated. She's not saying things correctly. I mean, because we've been interacting with taking care of her cousin and what have you. And I'm like, surely she knows. I mean, surely my actions should speak for themselves, you know? So I'm like, if she's not remembering what I have done to aid her and to aid her cousin, my sister, if she can't remember that, she's got to be interbulated. You know, and I guess just to give you a little bit of detail, it's a sister friend here that has Alzheimer's, and she has no family. She has a son that has special needs, and she literally has nobody. And I didn't know my sister was in the situation that she's in, and she needs 24-hour care, but does not, unfortunately, you know, America will send all this aid to Israel and to Ukraine, but our people who are in need, you know, we have to be paupers. So she does not have the monies for 24-hour care, and her insurance will not pay for it. So she basically has to go exhaust her savings and get on Medicaid to get help. So, but that's a process that doesn't just happen instantly. So I was volunteering for 6 weeks. I took care of my sister for free of charge for 6 weeks, 24 hours, you know, and didn't charge her, you know. So when the sister gave something to me for my daughter, she felt like I was taking advantage of the situation because the sister has Alzheimer's. And I know she was just stressed. I'm like, surely she cannot possibly think that I'm trying to take advantage of my sister, who unfortunately isn't thinking clearly, because if I was trying to take advantage, I knew I was doing it for free so she could pay others when I wasn't able to take care of her. So she would have monies to pay other people, because I knew I live in a total different city. I would drive, spend my gas money, go to that city, and I would stay with my sister for 5 to 7 days in a row, come home for 2 or 3 days, try to cook, clean, get food for my husband, leave, and go back and take care of that sister. So I'm like, surely she doesn't think I'm trying to take care of her advantage, and I'm doing this for free because I'm choosing to. So anyway, so I could have definitely been in my feelings like, oh my God, no, she didn't. I'm up here doing this for free, da, 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 da. But I'm like, she's interbulated. She's not seeing things clearly. I'm not going to get upset about her getting upset at me and not wanting to communicate with me, and why she didn't ask me, and why she going to all these other people, and then. I knew she was interbulated. And so Allah put it on my heart today, pick up the phone and call her, because she was not returning my calls. And she picked up today, and we were able to have a sane, rational conversation about the miscommunication and the misunderstanding that occurred that caused her to feel, to be in her feelings and to judge me in error. So, and me not be upset about it. So so there was no, I mean, she wasn't interbulated or anything when we talked. She was fine. She gave me her viewpoint. I gave her my viewpoint. We found the common ground. I admitted we're okay. I could have handled things differently. I totally agree with what you're saying. You know, and we cleared the air and we're fine. So we can resume trying to figure out how to care for my sister and her cousin. So.
Thank you, sister.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
I would like to pose a quick question that's kind of in line with somewhere in a direction I think Sister Patricia was going. As a clear, what would happen if something were to take place where there was a new event that caused a new unconsciousness, a new circuit, and possibly a new engram? Being that your reactive mind your reactive bank has been emptied, is it possible to introduce something, a whole nother trauma, and would the processing be different to remove it, since there's nothing there for it to take hold of, if you understand my question?
We'll let
Yeah,
Brother
let me-
Remy answer that.
Yeah, let me answer that. So I had the same question, man. And I was talking to a gentleman. This was like 2013, 2012. I was just in my auditor training, and I asked him, I was like, man, I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, so when you clear and you get hit upside the head, you don't get an Ingram no more? So explain that to me, because I just read this book that has about 300 pages, right? Telling me that when you get this moment, you're gonna get hit upside the head, what is actually gonna happen. And I'm gonna look for the reference in the book in Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, but he does address it in there. So the reactive mind is a force, right? And these engrams, you remember most of us on here probably saw the DVD, and it had that upside down yellow triangle. And as you're erasing the engrams, they erase the yellow triangle. If you have How to Use Dianetics DVD, check it out as a reference point to what I'm saying. So let's just say that that triangle is actually gone, right? There's energy moving throughout the triangle. Those triangles, those squares in the upside down triangle is like the engram, and at the bottom is like basic, so to speak. So the fact that you have 20, 30, 50, however much, they're all feeding off each other. And the ones that are earlier have a stronger force. So they're all creating this type of synergy, okay? Or as the minister called it, like fusion. Remember he said him and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Muhammad is like this fusion that's going on. So these engrams are working together in a fusion capacity, okay? Now that those engrams are gone, when you hit that, when you get a moment and you get knocked out, what does it have to clump up with? It doesn't have those instances to clump up with. And when clears go in session, we're not going in session on engram running. On clears, we're doing recall processes. And that's probably why. Because it is illegal. It is a big no-no to take somebody that's clear and put them in quote unquote reverie for those who are auditor trained. It's forbidden to do so. But when a clear goes in session, a clear is doing recall processes to disinterbulate, which means to take the negative energy off of what has actually happened. I don't have to go back to the beginning of it and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now that's necessary. When I reflect on the moment, even with an auditor, or when I do self-analysis, right? I'm able to do self-analysis at a fraction of the speed that it used to take me before I was clear to hit the result of the self-analysis list, okay? So in short, that moment of unconsciousness, that moment of pain doesn't have 200 engrams to lock arms with. So it's easier for me to reflect, to recall, and then to blow it on my own.
Anyone else to add to that? That was a great explanation. iPhone, what's your name, brother?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Brother Willard.
Brother Willard, thank you for spending your time with us. What's your question?
Yes, sir. This is actually my first time on this Zoom conference. Sister Ranelle, she had sent me the invite, and
for recruiting.
yes, sir. Yeah, I had met her at the Cincinnati org while I was in session, and my question is, being that I've done my purification rundown and a few courses, and I'm en route to do my survival rundown in March. But I'm in Indianapolis, and along this journey and this process, I've heard things about going clear. I've heard the minister speak about this process in a few different believers meetings and a few different lectures. And I've heard things about like, well, when you go clear, there's things that you go back to different lifetimes. The teachers don't agree with that. And my approach is take the meat, spit out the bones, because I know we don't agree with everything that they say per se in Scientology or everything. We have different belief systems to some degree. How should we handle that level from that criticism? And also when we run into things that don't necessarily line up with our belief, which I haven't found anything personally yet for myself that raised a red flag or anything, but I have heard things, and I'm just trying to approach the study with the best way, because it's been doing tremendous things for me. I was at a complete state of ruin before I even started going to the org. So if anybody can help me with that.
All praises to Allah. So, and what courses have you done at the org, Brother Will?
I've done the personal efficiency course. I've done the ups and downs of life. About a week ago, I just completed the personal integrity and values course.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
So, as an auditor and as a student, I think there's a way you can approach that type of conversation, or what anybody has to say about auditing. I'm gonna just cast a wider net so it wasn't just like specific to your situation. Now, when it comes down to the teachings or anything that you hear about the church, the question is, where did you get that from? What is your reference? And if you do remember it, can you send it to me? If the person cannot cite the location, the time, the lecture, the study guide, the book, then you have a choice whether to accept it or reject it. There's a very good document at the org called How to Defeat Verbal Tech Checklist. That means how to defeat when somebody's verbally trying to teach you something. Point number one is, if it isn't written, it isn't true. Point number two is, if it's written, read it. So when someone says, but the minister said, da, 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 I will reply back, oh, I would love to have that. Or you know what, that shocked me. Can you send me the lecture? Oh, I don't have it. I'm already applying that reference. It's probably not true, okay? Then somebody's viewpoint of what they think they can experience or what they can experience, now I address it from the standpoint of an auditor. Oh, Brother Remy, this past life stuff, I don't think it's real. Auditor hat on. I'm not going to invalidate you. Man, I understand where you're coming from. And I'll go back to my day. That's how I handle it. Now, I've had different experiences. I don't necessarily feel compelled to make somebody wrong.
Yes, sir.
Right? That also happens. That is likely going to be one of the things that you gain the ability to do on your journey to go clear, is allowing people to be wrong. And it's not about, oh man, we should correct our people. Our people are sick and dying. Every situation is not a life and bread situation. So frankly, I don't have to correct everybody in every situation. I'm okay with somebody having the wrong answer. It's called freedom. And it gives me a peace of mind. Right? So if a person says that I don't believe autism can do X, Y, and Z, I got you. Now, if they ask me my opinion, then I'd be like, well, I have my own personal opinion. But I'll just acknowledge them. Remember what I went to about invalidating things. You are full of treasure. And when you go in session and you close your eyes, you're going to see magnificent things. Okay?
Yes,
Embrace all of it. It's fun. It's spectacular. Let your mind run free. Because at the end of the day, when you walk out of that session, you got to take on the world. And I want you to be as confident in who you are and what you say you believe as much as possible, because we need soldiers that are incapable of defying odds. Impossibility was destroyed, right? When Allah God created himself. Okay? So just keep it to yourself, keep moving.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Thank you, all the believers. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, brother.
Excellent answer. That one helped me.
Go ahead, sister.
I would also like to add, so, there's a saying that they used to say, believers used to say a lot when I first came in many, many moons ago. And it was, you have to be a thinker to walk with Farrakhan, right? So we have to remember that our teachings that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us are a wake-up message, meaning that he had to give us a message that we could digest, right? It couldn't be more than we could chew or more than we could think about or comprehend. So he had to give us what we could deal with, right? So we know that the minister is going away to the will to do what? To get a new teaching. So I'm saying all that to say that people can say that something doesn't align with our teachings, but you don't know what all our teachings entail.
Right. Right.
We don't know all of them.
Right.
They are steadily being revealed to us. You know, the minister, you know, I heard our local minister here, Brother Abdul Halim, say that, you know, he I think it was him. If it wasn't him, it was someone else. I apologize. But basically the story goes that the minister was on the plane reading Message to the Black Man. And you would think that as long as he'd been in the nation, that he wouldn't necessarily have to continue to read Message to the Black Man. But he continues to read Message to the Black Man because just like in Going Clear, you start to see things clearer, but it's an evolution, it's a stage. You get better, you get sharper, you get wiser, you know, whatever. So again, so what you understood before, you have a clearer understanding as you continue to live, as you continue to study, you start to be able to grasp more of the nuances and things in what we're learning that you weren't able to comprehend when you first got it. So that's what I would say, that we don't know all the teachings. And so what's real for you is real for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you experience, that's your reality. And everybody's not going to have the same reality when going clear. Everybody's not going to run the same type of engrams or experience the same type of events. Everybody's case is unique to that individual. And that's why Brother Remy said, don't invalidate it, because your experience is your experience and my experience is my experience.
Yes, ma'am.
But the technical result for clear, is the same, no matter culture, race, gender, height, doesn't matter. The technical thing of going clear that is the only thing in common. It is the same from her. It is a technical result too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all very, very much. And I see Master Fard Muhammad's hand all through this whole process, and the language, everything. I see our Savior at work in this place. And that's why I keep going. And I'm going to go as high as I can up on that bridge, because I believe it belongs to us. So I apologize. Thank you again. Thanks.
You don't have to apologize. And the more you go up, the more you will see more of his hand all over that thing. So you will be like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So again, you know, remember, we're taught that Allah sends a messenger to every people, right? To keep them from being destroyed. So out of his love and his mercy, he gives everybody an opportunity to repent. Because if you listen to our leader, he's always talking about giving people, everybody, an opportunity to change and to repent. So Mr. Hubbard is that opportunity for his people.
Yeah.
So that he is Allah's mercy. It just so happens that those methods benefit us as well in the journey to becoming a God and being one with Allah. So it's all from Master Fard Muhammad.
That's right. That's right.
So I have no doubt I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I know that's Master Fard Muhammad all over the quote unquote Scientology. So,
yeah. Thank you.
I would like to pose a couple of points just to add to that. This part is my opinion, but it's based on what we're taught, and it's based on the Holy Qur'an. We have been taught that Master Fard Muhammad came from both races so that he could give mercy to both races, correct?
Right, that's right.
Okay, so that means he's going to give mercy to the black as well as the white. In the Holy Quran, Allah says that he raises up messengers from amongst their people speaking their language.
That's right.
When you combine those two together, the way that I perceive it in my kindergarten understanding is if these two equations have to have agreement, that tells me that not only would Master Muhammad bring a mercy to both people, but that he would raise up a messenger from both people, which is why I believe that he had contact with L. Ron Hubbard. If you go into Creation of Human Ability, I believe it's page 17, page 15, 16, and 17, L. Ron Hubbard talks about all of the things he studied to formulate the Tech of Dianetics. He talks about the 50,000 to the 50,000 years. Well, we already know who that is.
Right.
He studied the Dhammapada. He studied the Bhagavad Gita. He studied the ancient wisdom of what they find in India. But we have been taught by Mother Tanetta Muhammad that comes from the original people. L. Ron Hubbard's exact words in that book, he says this. He says, many people think that the period of intellectualism started with all that. And he says I think he said furthered it. He says, but the source of it comes from the Asiatics. So L. Ron Hubbard is very, yeah,
Wow.
that's right in plain black and white in Creation of Human Ability. I believe it's page 417, top of the page. He uses the word Asiatic. That's point number one. That's point number one. Number two, I like to pose this question in line with what we're talking about. I liken the tech and the process of auditing to the same process that's applied to a computer when you're trying to remove spyware and malware and different types of viruses so that the computer processing speed can get back to the way it operated when it was fresh out of the box. When you do like a factory reset, you remove everything and your computer's working at optimum level. Is it safe to assume that when you look at the fact that we've been dragging our feet with the teachings all these years, is it possible that the tech is being used to produce a new wine skin so that we will be ready for the new wine that's coming when the minister returns?
That's a safe solution. I would say that's a safe assumption. Yeah.
That to remove all this stuff is giving us more processing speed and memory and RAM and ROM to make us ready. Because how can you say that this has nothing to do with us, but we're trying to make that judgment off of one book of mathematics and there's 59,999, what those books even deal with? Is it safe to assume we're being prepared for the next level of the teaching? Is it safe to assume that?
I would say so.
Okay.
I hadn't thought about it, but I could see that.
Let me go to Sister Heidi's. I see a comment here. Sister Heidi asked the question, how often should a person go for auditing?
You want to get at least 12.5 hours of auditing a week. It's called an intensive because it's meant to be given intensively. So any type of auditing that you're doing, you want to do it at least 12 and a half hours a week. Now, like I said in my testimony, me and Brother Warren in the final call, we would get together maybe once a week and it would be like an hour or two. And that's better than nothing, So it starts off with what does your schedule allow? And as you start to follow the script of the auditing program and do the auditing session the way you're supposed to do it, you're going to be getting gains and you're going to be able to reorganize your life better. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be drama or challenges. It just means that you'll be able to carry more weight in the gym. So right now, you probably can only squeeze in an hour. Within a month or two, things will be going well. You using your God power, putting your intention out there about what you want, right? And going after it, makes you start working your schedule out to do 3, and so on and so forth. So start wherever you can start and build up from there.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, brother. Sister Ania.
The question that was raised about how to handle people when their belief system is different from yours. I wanted to relay a situation I dealt with. This was before the minister had introduced us to the whole Dianetic process. I was in a holistic school, and part of the curriculum was dealt with training us to be life coaches. And they used the same concept that is used in Dianetics. They would instruct us that in order for us to deal with other people's issues, in order to be able to help other people with their issues, that we had to first deal with our own issues. So in the classroom setting, when they taught us different tools and modalities, how to use them, we would have to practice on each other in the classroom setting. And so one of the techniques that we used, we had to pair up and take turns, going through the session. And I was paired up with a young girl, and she was very closed, didn't really want to talk, and as Sister and Eugenia was saying, I could pick up on her energy that something though was really, really bothering her. And trying to find an avenue of approach with her, all of a sudden, something just popped in my head, and I asked her the question. And the only reason I asked her the question was because it popped in my head, was, what does grandmother mean to you? What does grandmother mean to you? And so I asked her that question. And she immediately became all alert. Her eyes got wide, and she said, oh my goodness. She said, you see my grandmother? And I did not see her grandmother. This is not to me a Ouija board session, or anything like that. But obviously grandmother was important to her. So I continued the session with her along the lines of using the grandmother as a focal point, not using the language that I could see her grandmother, but more along the lines of, what is the importance of grandmother to you? And that was the channel that opened her up, and she began to talk, and she began to relate the issue that she was having in terms of, like, she was having not really a conversation with her grandmother, but she was able to talk about her issue through the loving relationship that she had with her grandmother. And I was able to use language like reminding of her of any wisdom that words of wisdom that her grandmother would have spoken to her. And she was able to resolve her issue herself, remembering all of the things that her grandmother had taught her. And I think it turned out she had recently, I think probably a year prior to that, she had lost her grandmother. And but the current problem that she was having, she was able to resolve it by remembering the wisdom that her grandmother had taught her in life. And so I brought that up because oftentimes we encounter people, their belief situation is totally different. I mean, we had people in the classroom that believed in fairies, you know, where we were taught, like you said, we don't invalidate, because, you know, I can see in my mind, I can say, okay, you call it a fairy, you know, I could call that, you know, universal energy. You know, I could relate it in that way. I could relate that as, you know, the radio in the head, or hearing a vision directly from Master Fard Muhammad. So I can relate all of those type of things. Or past people talk about having lived, you know, several different lifetimes, and this is their current lifetime. Okay, that may not be how I see it directly, but I don't have to invalidate that person's the way they see it. I can still help them by bringing the science into the whole discussion, into the session, in a way that allows them to still view it the way they view it. And as long as they get to a resolution of their issue, that's the main point. And as long as they come away intact and feel much better about themselves, then to me, that's a success, without me having to say, well, that's not the way that I view it, and I don't believe in that. You know? So I just wanted to share that experience that I had.
Thank you, Sister Anya.
I don't know if Dianetically, if I handled it the right way, you know, I haven't been through the whole auditing course. You know, I still have yet that to complete, but that was the understanding that I had at the time.
Praise due to Allah. Thank you, Sister Anya.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Rashida.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I just have a couple questions. So I've had 2 auditing sessions. I'm really far away from clear, but I just want to know, because I find that it's hard for me to like recall memories when I've only had 2. So I'm like, I can't even remember like a lot of the stuff that I might need to remember. And I've heard people say that they can remember things from when they were in the womb. And so I'm like, I have a hard time just remembering anything. And I know Brother Remy on the video was saying that like most of the things that he thought might have been a problem weren't, you know. So I'm just like, how does it flip to where you know what is actually the engrams that you need to work on? Does that just naturally happen with more auditing sessions? I know he just said like 12.5 hours a week is recommended. So, because I feel like mine have been kind of spread out. So maybe that's the problem. But like, how do you get the most out of the auditing sessions? And will I be able to like recall memories? Did anyone else have that problem where they felt like, I don't even know what I'm searching for here when you're in the session?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So who's your auditor? Is your auditor, is it done in the mosque, or is it at the org?
At the org in Phoenix.
Got you. And this is book 1 auditing?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Have you shared what you just told me? Have you shared that with the auditor?
No.
Okay, cool. So write that down for the auditor and give it to the auditor. Give it to the auditor. Okay. You know, when you're cooking, right? You don't want 2 chefs in the same pot.
Yes.
I'm very careful. I'm very careful to have, you know, when someone asks the question, especially if you're doing it at the org, you want to make sure there's 1 chef, you know, working with Sister Rashida. So write that up, give it to the auditor, and don't have any problems. Between you and I have never recalled any engram prenatal with my mom and my dad. And I'm clear, right? So it is what it is. If some people have it, some people don't. If you're gonna stop you from going clear, Don't worry about it. Just go. It's like, just count the sessions. Next session down, next session down. Don't worry about how much we got done and if we got a lot done. Don't even worry about that. Just keep counting the sessions. Did you show up? Did you go in session? Did you do what the auditor said? Boom, that's a win. Just check them off like that. And it's just going to happen.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sister Michan, in Dianetics, it's not recommended to audit family members. However, the married couple mentioned you both co-audited. Was that very difficult?
Excuse me. So it's recommended for married couples not to audit one another if you're trying to deal with painful experiences, dealing with engrams and locks and that sort of thing. What my husband and I did, so that type of auditing is what's called subjective auditing. So it's dealing with the mind when you're dealing with the issues, the pain that you've dealt with. What my husband and I co-audited on in SRD, those are objective processes. So those deal with the physical universe. So you're getting audited on your environment, getting you, and the objective is to get you into present time and into communication and into reality with your environment. And I'll give you my experience as to why it is so important to have objective auditing. So for me, I had no idea how unconscious I was prior to going clear, forget doing SRD. I felt like once I went clear, I felt like I had just been born. I felt like I've been sleepwalking my entire life. But anyway, so when my husband and I first went to the org in Tampa to start our SRD, I told my husband, I'm like, oh my God, this building is just gorgeous. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait till our, all the buildings, all the mosques around the nation looks like this org and So I'm like, look how clean it is. I mean, it's just, oh my God, it's just fabulous, right? So anyway, so fast forward 7.5 weeks of auditing, and those auditing processes are things like where you tell the person to touch that wall, thank you, touch that chair, thank you. You're doing things, again, you're interacting with your environment. So fast forward after all those weeks of co-auditing, I was able to see things as they were and not how I thought they were. When I walked into that org and into that room for SRD, it looked immaculate. I mean, because compared to, not that our mosque was a dump, because it's not by any stretch of the imagination. It was just more modern. But anyway, so at the time, our mosque is super modern now, but at the time it was more modern than our mosque. So like I said, by the time I got to the end of SRD, I was able to see how dirty that room was. I was like, oh my God, this room is dirty. Look at all these fingerprints on this wall, and this rug is threadbare. And, because again, one of the things, and I know I'm not supposed to do verbal tech, Brother Remy, but I have not been able to find where I had heard it or read it about how your brain does not allow you to see that which you cannot handle. So it's not that it's something I couldn't handle, but it just shows you how your brain can interfere with your ability to see reality. Because what I saw when I walked in that room for the first time and what I saw 7.5, 8 weeks later was two totally different realities. Totally different. So that's the type of auditing. We did objective auditing. So those were, like I said, processes with the physical universe. So it wasn't about, okay, tell me the first time or remember the last moment of pain. We didn't do any of that. So that's the difference. So there's no re-stimulation on that. And it actually, again, brought us closer because, again, surprisingly, it allows things to come up out of you that you don't even realize it's going to be affected by something that's going on in the physical universe. So it definitely gave my husband a lot more patience when dealing with me, because he got to see those moments that were tough that I had to go through when I might have been crying or I might not have been able to confront, certain things. So, so yeah, so it wasn't difficult in the sense of like confronting pain, but like you would in dealing with actual engrams, but it was difficult just in that, even though they were objective processes, it took a lot of fortitude. It took a lot of time, a lot of hours to get through it. So it was difficult from that perspective to just keep pushing when we didn't really understand why we were doing this. You know, we just knew we needed to get to the other side of feeling better and being in a better state. So that was our focus, and that's what kept us going when things were tough and we didn't feel like going in session to get audited and all of that. So
I'm actually glad you answered the question like that, because I'm here thinking that going through SRD and the auditing part of it, because I'm just at the very beginning, I'm here thinking we're going to be going back to the beginning and going over it again and picking up and actually doing auditing.
mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. Nope.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave me about 20 units of case gain, because I was like, oh man, I gotta go through all that auditing all over again. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, damn.
No, no. As you go clear, when you get to the after you finish your SRD and you do, there's going to be a new drug rundown that you have to do prior to going to the next phase, and some other couple of other steps. When you get to auditing, you'll do that auditing on the cans with your auditor. You won't be doing it with if you and your wife are co-auditing or whoever you're co-auditing with. So.
Okay. Well, since you're on that, there is a question here that, where Sister Rashida is asking, what is SRD? Could you explain that?
Okay, so SRD stands for Survival Rundown. So you'd have to ask Brother Remy why it's named that, because I don't remember. So he's a trained auditor, so he can tell you why, but it's called Survival Rundown. That's what it stands for. Brother Remy, are you still with us? Because I actually just had my fourth birthday the other day, but being clear, on January 17th. My husband is coming up on January 13th. I mean, just excuse me, on January 31st. So there's some things that you remember very vividly, and then some things that you don't. So, but
yeah, I don't know why he calls it survival rundown, but I can tell you when I did it, it was a lot of people in the room. So over the course of several months, we saw each other go through changes, and I see how it actually helps people survive. Actually be able to enjoy life, perceive, and take on life. People come into the survival rundown course room timid and shy and obnoxious and rude and different personalities. But when they're done, I mean, the person is just a very polished individual. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, people definitely are surviving. I can definitely see how these white folks are going to be some of the white folks in the hereafter. I can definitely see that, because this behavior is changing night and day,
Yeah, you actually become, because it also brings you into present time, you become more alert. And as Brother Remy said, you're more aware of your environment. So that's why I was able to see the handprints on the wall that I didn't see before, because my awareness was so low. And I also cognited, that's why I could never drill. I wasn't in present time. I would always hear the cadences too late, but after I did survival rundown, I'm like, I bet I can drill now. But I always had difficulty drilling, because I was always in the past in some situation or incident or regret or whatever. Whereas present time, you're in present time and you're focused on what's going on now, and you're very aware and you hear things as they're said versus, oh, I thought you said such and such. No, that's not what I said. Oftentimes we don't hear things properly because we're not in present time. Our mind is, our attention is somewhere else, so we tend to misinterpret or not hear things, or even not even see things as they are. I mean, what's the little game that they have when you're in elementary school where they start off and they tell somebody to say something, they tell somebody something and you take it around the circle and you get it back to the end. And
Telephone.
yeah, and it's a totally different story. Again, it's how you are able to hear and perceive things properly or correctly. So that's what SRD does for you. It helps you to see things properly and hear things properly and be aware of things versus, you know, having a certain level of unconsciousness about you. So,
Sister, would you also say that that's kind of like what happens to us when we're making our prayers and we forget where we started, where we stopped, we go off and we got to come back and restart and we forget. Is that what's happening? We're actually making our prayers, but we are going way
your
off.
attention, right? Your attention is in other things, things, problems that are bothering us, or things we haven't finished, or things we need to do, or, you know, so it can be challenging. So, and that still can happen even after being clear, because again, you know, in Dianetics, again, I try not to do no verbal tech, but when our attention is dispersed in all these different places, you know, your memory, it can be difficult in remembering, you know, and it can be difficult in focusing because you're literally all over the place. Your attention is in all these different places. Whereas if we would just kind of handle one thing at a time and finish it before we go on to the next, then we'd have our attention units with us rather than having them dispersed everywhere. So.
Thank you. Let's see. Brother asked the question, as being clear, have you experienced astral projection or out-of-body experiences? And I will add lucid dreams.
So I would say in the process of going clear, yes. It's something that was experienced. It's not something that happens often, but
That what they call exteriorization?
yes, pretty much, yes. So, I mean, it wasn't the type to go somewhere else, you know, but definitely could see, like, have an out-of-body experience, kind of looking down on everything that's going on. I'm aware of me watching what's going on, you know, type thing. So yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I don't know, Brother Rim. Well, anyway, yes, I did. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, someone just said they didn't really understand the explanation given of objective auditing.
Okay. Let's see.
Brother Remy, can you explain it better that they can understand for me?
Yeah. So when you're doing the auditing, what we would call like regular auditing, you're dealing with things that are internal, thoughts, emotions, feelings, things that you remember. When you're doing objective auditing, we're not concerned with what you remember and what you feel, you know, going on internally. What we're doing is that we're going to use the objects in their environment, and we're going to use those objects to bring you into higher states of awareness. So I'm going to tell you maybe 50 times or 100 times to touch that wall. And it sounds very mundane, and it could sound stupid. However, if you noticed about martial artists, right? If you notice about gymnasts, they tend to be some of the most alert people on the planet. Why is that? It's because when you're coming in contact with the physical universe in a systematic way, it can bring about a higher state of awareness. So L. Ron Hubbard went through the trouble of codifying maybe near 500 different processes that is going to be tailor-made for you to bring you into a higher state of awareness using the physical environment.
Did that answer it, Sister Anya?
Yes, sir. been through that process, but I just didn't know that that was what it was called.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Praise due to Allah. I'm just glad Sister Eugenia explained it the way she did, because it just took a relief off my mind. Because I don't think I could go through man, you can. Oh boy. Okay. Let's see. Dr. Muhammad. Is that Brother Wadu? Is that the good doctor that's online?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir, it is.
Islam, so how you feeling?
I'm fine by Allah's grace, and I pray the same for everyone on the line, gaining a lot from the discussions and the conversation.
All right. So your question, does being clear offer escape from new engrams, or is it that being clear allows a processing of new insults such that they have no ability to take hold? I think that was answered before you came on, but we will go ahead and address that again if someone would like to address that, if possible. So we're talking about.
I was actually on.
Oh, you're
when
on?
that
Okay.
got addressed, so
Okay.
thank you anyway.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'll make sure everyone.
The new engram cannot find a firm resting place because the pyramid, quote unquote, like pyramid of engrams that you have has been erased. So that experience, that hit, that blow is just like out there in outer space, can't really solidify, and then it just shreds. It just disintegrates on its own because it has nothing else to clump up together, so to speak. That's my opinion.
Okay. So let me pose it like this. So if we were to look at the verse in the Holy Quran where it talks about building a home on smooth rock, how that rock has no foundation, because if you put it on smooth rock instead of firm earth, is that kind of like the same concept? You can't build a new engram because there's nothing there for it to grab a hold of. There's no foundation for anything new because the old stuff has been removed. Is it safe to look at it like that?
Correct.
Okay.
So I think another way to say that, right? Because an engram has moments of pain and of unconsciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and in going clear with them finding the basic engram that allows the chains of the other engrams to disintegrate so that you would experience the pain, say, of a new, if that situation were to occur. So let's just also say this, brother, and I don't know why Brother Remy hasn't said it. Brother Remy, maybe you can tell me why, but I know once a person's clear, the occurrences of accidents and illnesses and stuff decrease substantially. So if a person were to have an accident that's clear, something's got them pretty turbulated. Something's got them pretty upset for an accident to happen. Not that it can't happen, but if you are continuing to study and stay on course and do whatever kind of processing that you would need to do to handle your case, that ideally shouldn't happen. So but anyway, but again, if it were to happen, you are not going to be affected to the degree that you would be if you had a reactive mind. It's not going to bother you. Case in point, if somebody very close, near and dear to you were to like do something, I don't know, steal your money, betray you, whatever, right? You like totally are not going to respond to it the same way that you would if you had a reactive mind. So I'll give you an example. I gifted is a sister here that I'm helping, and I guess I might need to give a little backstory on this. So someone had asked the question earlier about oh no, I think you asked Brother Lukman about abilities. Have we obtained
that question was asked earlier.
Right, some abilities since we haven't gone clear. Well, I have, in the sense that with my awareness being more acute, I guess, or sharper, I came into the reality of things that I were like totally over my head before. You know, like even Mother Chinetta, for instance. I don't know about any of the people on the call, but I remember being in the nation all these years. A lot of people just did not understand what Mother would be writing about, because it was like beyond our comprehension.
Just
But
talking.
now I can read Mother's stuff and like, okay, all right, I understand. I understand what she's saying, you
Mhm.
know? So, but anyway, so gemstones. I started working with gemstones, and somehow or another, I know how to put them together to help people to get relief from psychosomatics. I knew nothing about gemstones prior to going clear and doing cause resurgence and one of the other some other processes from the flagship org or what have you. But I know how to put them together. And I don't know where it I mean, other than being able to read I mean, it's not like it's just like out the sky, right? So I had heard about gemstones. I was actually creating a jewelry line prior to finding out that they had properties, but I was for little girls. I just wanted to do something creative this phase of my life, you know, and I would find stones and I would make little cute little bracelets for little girls. And a friend of mine just kind of pulled my coat and was like, "Hey, Eugenia, you got a lot of information. You really should be helping, you know, to teach women, do seminars, you know, on improving their quality of life." And I'm like, you know, I do that free in the nation. I want to do jewelry. You know, that's my disposition. But Allah will not be thwarted. And next thing you know, I'm researching, something happened, and someone wanted me to make a chakra bracelet. I didn't know what a chakra bracelet was. So in my researching it and what have you with gemstones, I'm like, what's the big deal about this? You know, what's the big deal about gemstones? And I just started reading that they had therapeutic properties. And I'm like, okay, is this really real? So I just started experimenting and found that they actually do what they say that they're purported to do. And I just continued to read and to study. And it's like, I don't know, I don't know if it's a lot. I would have to say it has to be a lot downloading it to me. But I mean, I've had some phenomenal situations. Actually, there was an article in the final call in August, I think it was August 17th, 2022. And it was dealing with the adverse reactions of the people who had vaccine remorse, haven't taken vaccine. But I had a client who had taken the vaccine, and because she wasn't a believer, she was the niece of a believer. Her aunt referred her to me, and she had taken the vaccine because she had had COVID and was in the hospital 4 days, I guess almost died or what have you, but it left her paralyzed on one side of her body, and the other side, she said, was frozen. She couldn't turn her head. She had to drink from a straw. She was having tremors from the base of her head, base of her neck, down to her feet. And because of my research and having read about different stones for the brain, for the different organ systems, the endocrine system, what have you, I called her, I had a conversation with her, found out what support she needed, researched the stones. I put together a custom chakra bracelet for her, and 3 weeks later, all of her movement and everything returned. And she had been paralyzed for over 13 months. And I've helped several people recover from strokes doing the same thing. My aunt was about to get her leg amputated, and I found out she actually postponed the amputation because my mother had passed. And her daughter had called me to ask to borrow my mom's wheelchair so that my aunt could go to the funeral, because the doctor didn't want her on her legs, on her feet and what have you. And she just kind of casually said, "Oh yeah, mama was scheduled to have her leg amputated this week, but we postponed it because of Nanny dying." And I'm like, what? You know, I'm a former massage therapist, and I do colonic irrigations as well. And so from those perspectives, to me, amputations are totally avoidable, as well as colon cancer. I mean, get some colonics to unstop, your system. But anyway, So once I found that out, I'm like, I knew that there were stones for infections because I had used them. I actually found out about stones for infection for myself in my experimenting. I had a tooth infection and didn't have dental insurance at the time. And I was like, well, let me see if this really works. And it did. I mean, the swelling around my tooth, it didn't heal the tooth, but the inflammation and the swelling and the discomfort, it went away like 30 minutes after putting a bracelet on. But anyway, so I created a bracelet for my aunt to address the lymphedema, the separating wounds, the lymphatic drainage, the poor circulation, the diabetes, and all of that. And in less than a month, my aunt's leg was healed. She didn't have to have her leg amputated.
Hmm.
And I did it twice, not once. I did it twice. 7
And we
months
don't
later.
believe in superpowers. And we don't believe in superpowers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't shoot.
7 months later, because my aunt did not do anything, she didn't change her diet. She didn't change her thinking because we know, right, Brother Remy, that all illness starts in the mind, right? So she didn't change her thinking. She didn't change her behavior. She wasn't exercising to get circulation for her legs. So 7 months later, my dad transitioned. The other leg was infected. And so, but anyway, I don't want to take up all the time. So I ended up having to do it again for the other leg as well. And so this month will be 2 years since I made that bracelet. It's been 2 years since my dad passed this month. It'll be 2 years since I made the second bracelet for my aunt. And she has had no other issues with her legs being infected or anything. And she still has both of her legs when both of them were scheduled to be amputated at different times.
Yes, ma'am.
So
we have
I
one of
bear witness to sister. She held my back. The bracelets held my back.
the all right.
And Brother Nadir wanted to prove me wrong that it wouldn't work for him.
I sure tried to. And I made a believer out of me.
Wow.
So.
Praise be to Allah. All right.
I bear witness also. She's a miracle worker.
Oh, there you go. If she was an X-Man, she'd be a crystal person. Doing something with crystals.
But I would like to say something about that.
Go ahead, Brian.
I think that, in terms of the superpowers and all of these types of things, the minister said that it's super normal because it's not normal with us anymore. And that when we, come to ourselves, then these things will become normal again. But with Sister Eugenia, I think that, some of those gifts Allah had given her before she even came to the knowledge of the stones and whatever, she was inclined to have, because the first bracelet she made, it broke for me. And she said, oh, well, you grew out of it, something else is happening. And I said, no, this bracelet popped. So she made me another one. I didn't believe it at first. She made another one and it worked better. I said, man, it really worked. So, and I started thinking in my mind, I said, this is more than stones. There's something about her that she's working through the stones it's more of her than the stones. Because of the questioning that she asked me the second time around and got into my thinking and this thing she said about the disease starting in the mind. So I began to believe, I said, no, Allah gifted her with such, she could probably do that without the stones, I believe. So, but that's what I walked away believing. So.
Is it possible that each one of us in this meeting, we each have our own particular, and I don't want to say a superpower, I want to say it's just something that's normal for us as being the children of God, direct descendants of God. Is it possible that all these things are dormant in us, buried under all this funk? And once we can get this stuff off of us, our true essence begins to manifest who we really are and what we can actually do. Is that possible?
That's exactly what happens. It's already there, but it's under stuff.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Wadu.
That unconsciousness is buried under that unconsciousness.
Oh, yes,
and
ma'am.
other stuff. So, yes. So that's that clearing,
Yes.
taking all that dross off. So, well, some of it. So yes.
So it's like Jerusalem, but there's someone that's buried there who used to be Jabez, Salem, and Ariel. Christ is buried. Brother Wadu.
Yes, sir, and family. I just had a follow-up to that, in that for those who are clear, the insult that I was someone asking about dealt with the fact that a lot of our people, I have to deal myself a lot with those who are not of our faith. And as Brother Ishmael pointed out today, everyone's on a hair trigger ready to pop off at any minute. So knowing the technology does a lot of self-analysis, given that our environment around us and the people around us who may not be civilized yet and are still in a savage state and can hurl things that would it be better to say they could cause maybe not an engram, but some type of not just insult, but re-stimulation, or, and I don't think that's the proper term either, but just because they are so out of them, acting out of their own self or a righteous state, can that cause someone who's already clear to be impacted or struck by the savagery of a lost found? I do have a second follow-up that deals with sister's medical being abilities to address things, because I am a medical doctor, and I would like maybe through Sister Anya or any other of the sisters to collaborate on how to treat some of the patients that I encounter. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you, brother.
A person that is clear is handling a situation 1,000 times better than they would have handled it if they were not clear. The only thing that would be an exception to that rule is if the person had a bad education. So if they think that it takes a knife to fix the electrical socket, a metal knife, no matter if the person's clear or not, they're gonna fix it the same way and get electrocuted. But in most situations, especially you talking about dealing with another person, the clear will do it 1,000 times better than he or she would if they were not clear. You know, but now you can't compare it across persons. There's only that Remy, before he's clear, is going to act 1,000 times better in that situation than Remy 5-6 years ago.
And Brother Remy, how do you keep that from leaving some type of vestige or scar in your memory as you walk away from that encounter, regardless of how you handled it, even if it was better?
Again, the engrams are a structure, and the oldest engram is feeding the ones that are more recent. When you clear, that structure for yourself has been destroyed. So somebody hitting me in my leg, or a car accident, or somebody shooting me in the foot, it doesn't have that quote unquote pyramid structure to latch onto to cause me to act other than myself. It doesn't have that. So what a clear can do is called have you did the Dianetics book?
I'm in the process of it, but I haven't completed it.
Okay, so it's called recall. So the clear can do recall, but a clear will just disinterbulate the impact, the situation will fade away. Whereas in someone who's not clear, it will harden and solidify and be on pile of those other engrams that are already there.
Got it. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you. Go ahead, sister. You're on mute.
Oh, okay. I'll give an example maybe something that can help you to understand. So I didn't have an accident, but I was involved, I guess in a pretty, the past with the whole COVID and everything it's been a very interesting past 3-4 years. And I have battled some pretty turbulating times in the past couple of years. And I had a situation that was very, very difficult to go through. And I've had many examples. I'll give the example of my parents. My parents passed in 21 and 2020. My mom passed June 2021. My dad passed in January 2022. My mother and I did not have a good relationship when I was growing up. Being clear allowed me to care for my mother when she was ill. If I would not have been clear, I would not have been able to care for my mother. I would have been too inturbulated and resentful and angry and, excuse my French, pissed the hell off about stuff I experienced growing up. I would not have been able to care for her. But Allah knew that I was going to need that. So my husband and I and our whole journey and going through all of that stuff, I believe was divinely ordained for it to happen, for me to be able to care for my mother and to care for my parents during that time. So not only would I not have been able to care for her, I probably would have been curled up underneath the table somewhere after having lost her and going through all of that, and then losing my father, who was my world after that. I can't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine. So I know Clear saved me from a very potential, I can't even describe it, disastrous experience. That would have been very, very difficult for me to go through. But I was able to not be re-stimulated by my mom in caring for her because of being clear. I was able to not be re-stimulated. And I guess another piece with that, there's a friend of mine, actually the same person who told me that I should be helping helping sisters to improve their quality of life. Her and my mother became very close while my husband and I were in Florida going clear. She is who Allah brought into my life to help care for my parents, because I was caring for my parents. My dad was legally blind, had Alzheimer's. My mom never drove. She was a homemaker. And I was worried about who was going to take care of my parents in order for us to leave and be gone however long to go clear. But I couldn't worry. I just had to pray about it, because I knew my husband and I, we needed to handle our life. And so she is who Allah brought into our life. So she helped take care of my parents and cared for them like I would have cared for them. And she became very, very close to my mother, closer than myself. And when my mother passed, she took it very difficult. She took it very, very hard. And she shared with me that she had 150 voicemails of my mom on her telephone. I was 56 years old when my mother, going on 56 years old, 55 and a half when my mother passed. My mother hasn't called me 150 times in my entire lifetime. And I told her, I said, if I were not clear, I would have a problem with you, because of how I saw my mother treat this woman better than she treated me. But I was able to care for my mom, love her, treat her with respect, endure all manners of inconveniences and stuff in caring for her, and then turn around and watch how she, just doted on this girl, this other lady, you know, and I'm like, okay, all right, okay. Clear, I bear witness, clear works.
Praise be to Allah. All right, we have one final question. Sister Diane asked the question, what is the first step or book to start the auditing journey? So I will add to that question by saying, is it okay to start with just Dianetics book 1, or do you recommend going through the original thesis, Evolution of a Science, and then Dianetics book 1?
So I would recommend you start out with Dianetics. And I had sent a message directly.
Okay.
Start with Dianetics. If you can do it at the org, 1000% strongly encourage you to do it in the course room. If you need to do it through an extension course, contact Brother Luqman. There's an online study group of people, Black folk that getting together that are going through the extension course together. He has to connect for that. So, but if you're unable to do it in the org, do it at Luqman. But if you need to push to get into the org and there's an org near you, make the sacrifice to do it in the org.
Thank you, brother. And very quickly, for those that are new to the group, we meet every Sunday night at 6 p.m. We meet Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. We deal more with the Supreme Wisdom and the problem book, mathematics and science on Wednesday. Sunday, we deal mostly with book 1, but it's just the Dianetics. Those that are new to the group, if you are interested in learning more about what we're doing, I'm going to give you a quick look at where you can find us, on YouTube. Let's see, we'll go here real quick. You can find us on YouTube. All of our Zoom meetings are listed here on the YouTube channel. And what we do is we kind of go into the Dianetics, but we marry the Supreme Wisdom with the Supreme Technology. That is the name of the YouTube channel. And we go into the Supreme Wisdom, the problem book, the wife of the uncle of W.D. Farad. We go into the Holy Qur'an, and we take the wisdom and the tech and we combine them so we can use the tech as a tool. As the minister said, what we have is like a safe full of riches, and we've lost the combination. So we use this tool to give us a better understanding of the tech, so we can get a better understanding of the teaching, so we can get a better understanding of ourselves, if that makes any sense. For those who have not already, if you could just put your email in the chat, that way I can add you to the email list, and you will get direct notification of our meetings. I want to take this time to thank Brother Remy, Brother Danny, Sister Eugenia. I didn't expect to get 3 clears on at one time, but that's how the God works. And at least for me, you've cleared up some misunderstoods for me, and I thank you for your time and your patience. I didn't think we would go past 8 o'clock, but I wanted the believers to, whatever question they had, to be addressed. And with that being said and done, I guess we will go ahead and close it out. I'll give everyone a chance to put their information in the chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a verification just to make sure everything is working. Yeah, brother, you would have loved this discussion, but I'm gonna put it up on YouTube so you get a chance to go through it. And let's see. Let me at least give the greetings to.
That's that traveling brother.
Who's that?
You know who I'm talking about. That's that traveling brother going to the east.
Sister Nisa, assalamu alaikum. Sister Lamisa, assalamu alaikum. Might be busy. Okay. And I think that might be it for emails. Okay, well, walaikum salam. All right. All right, family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got some case gain just by Sister Eugenia. You don't even know what you did just by giving me that little piece of data. Just give me that little piece of data. Just changed my life. All praises due to Allah. Let us go ahead and close out in prayer. Attention prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, thine aid do we seek. Please, Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray if they have heard thy teachings. Ameen.
Beautiful.
Excellence.
Oh,
Excellent.
Thank you all very much.
Beautiful.
Brother Danny.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, family.
Salam.
Thank you.
Brother Willard, make sure we got
Mine.
your email. I'm gonna stay on a little bit
Yes.
longer just to make sure the emails are in.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Salam. Brother Remy.
Peace, brother.
Sister Gina.
My tone
Yes,
was
sir.
raised.
Beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful, beautiful. Man.
Sister Gina, you mind if I pose a question to you and Brother Danny real quick?
Sure.
And I'll pose this one off the record. I'll stop recording on this one. Let's see, stop